From living in a domestic abuse shelter to creating a self-funded business that now raises millions of dollars for underprivileged children, our guest has experienced it all, and wow, is she a problem solver. I know you'll find her founder journey inspirational and aspirational. That's right. Get ready for a delicious conversation on the Startup Life Live Show. Let's glow, everyone. Hello and welcome to the Startup Life Live Show. I'm your host, Ande Lyons, 4 times founder and startup champion to founders around the world. And after raising 4 businesses of my own, I have a really good idea of what you're going through every single day. The high levels of uncertainty you're walking through. Oh my gosh, and learning to navigate a route you've never been on before, because nothing prepares you for the founder journey. I don't care what they teach you at grad school. It is, once you sit in that seat, it's all new. It's kind of like parenting that way, or when you bring home the pet for the first time. So I am truly grateful that you have carved out time from your busy schedule to tune into the Startup Life Live Show, because you're going to get some nuggets, some inspiration, something that's just going to go yes for you and have you running back to your desk or whatever you're working on with new inspiration and hope for what you're doing. And here's the scoop. As you do better and up your founder game, that's right, your startup will do better. Big hi and woohoo and yoo-hoos and wahs to everybody tuning in live or being via replay. I'm so grateful that you're here. And podcast listeners, just know that I've got a big love for you as well. If you are tuning in from YouTube, click that subscribe button and hit that bell. Thank you so much. And if you'd like to receive an alert whenever I post a new show, that's right, hop on over to the Startup Life Live meetup group. That way you'll get all the scoop about our guests and who I'm having on the show, all the details you need to learn and grow. I want to tell you about something that's happening on February 8th. This is a wonderful virtual fireside chat from our Tech in Motion folks. And it's with Sea Light Technologies, the award-winning neurotech and AI startup revolutionizing the way we detect, monitor, and treat Alzheimer's, MS, and other central nervous system conditions. And these founders, Dr. Sheehy and Dr. Shing, will share each step of their startup journey, from developing a novel technology, raising funding, to building their team, and so much more. Go check it out. Let me just pull up the banner here with the link. Okay, so those tuning in, it's events.techinmotion.com/fireside chat. Just go to techinmotion.com for all the scoop that you need. It's an amazing organization, and they're always there helping folks up their founder game, just like the Startup Life Live Show does. All right, so I want to give you some, that's right, Ande-licious advice today. Oop, got to get rid of that banner, take that down. Here's the scoop on the Ande-licious advice for this episode, and that is the word courage. It's often thrown around like it's an easy thing to grab onto and use to roar your way forward. Like, I've got this, I'm strong, I'm filled with courage. It's not always so dramatic, although I do love drama. Courage can also be that quiet voice at the end of a really tough day that says, I will get out of bed tomorrow and I will try again. I laugh because I've been there. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to deal with this. But if you just get out of bed, oh my gosh, it's a simple but forward-moving statement. And I will try again tomorrow. And here's the really Ande-licious nugget. All those try again tomorrow statements create momentum and help you keep moving forward one tiny step at a time. Seriously, I am in awe and wonder of your courage, founders. Bravo. And speaking of courage, I'm so excited to introduce you to our amazing guest today. This is the one and only Alyse Maslonik. And imagine this, at the age of 21, with only $63 to her name, Alyse packed up everything she owned and set out on a journey to share her life. And by the age of 23, she was managing a multi-million-dollar property asset in Charlotte, North Carolina, and went on to become one of the youngest sales and marketing representatives for a custom home builder in the area where she developed a love of helping people achieve their own piece of the American dream through homeownership. And with this fierce determination and a belief that she could make a difference, Alyse founded RedefinED Advisors, a strategic development partner for non-public and private schools that now offers a wide array of services to help schools grow funding and enrollment. So come on, let's bring her into the room. Yay, Alyse, I'm so happy you're here.
Hi, it's good to be here.
It's so great to have you. And where are you hanging out from today?
I am hanging out right around Penn State University in Pennsylvania.
Oh, hooray. And folks, founders are problem solvers. And for some reason today, poor Alyse, her technology was not letting her in the room. So she's on her phone. And, I got to tell you, there's nothing like going live, Alyse, and, your first time on someone's podcast and live stream show. And you're like, what the heck? Because we did a tech check, right? And everything was like, mwah, chef's kiss.
Yes, it absolutely was. But you have to roll with it when you're a new founder. So this business has helped me get the skills to deal with stuff like this.
Absolutely. And so and folks, people often ask me, Ande, why do you go live? Why don't you just shoot a podcast? And I said, because it's the closest thing to having a startup. When you hit that live button, there's no fixing anything. You have to go with the flow. You're transparent. You're sharing the goods however they unfold. So I'm so grateful you're here. And I want to remind folks that we are live right now across all the channels, LinkedIn, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. So, be sure to hop in the stream, you live streamers, right? And share your business. We'd love to celebrate you and the courage that you're tapping into every single day, even if it's just, I'll try again tomorrow. And so be sure to share your business one-liner and URL in the comments and questions. Come on, you got two brains here that have been through startup life. So be sure to ask questions. And that's the same thing for you replay viewers or podcast listeners. Your questions are important. We always learn from each other. So hop in the threads, shoot me an email, find us online. We are here for you. Okay. So now that we're getting settled in, Alyse, let's talk about your origin story, because you're right out there talking about how from going from a domestic abuse shelter to raising millions for your RedefinED Advisors organization. I mean, and then packing up at such a young age with just $63 and heading out and finding your way in life. Can you just talk a little bit about where did you find the courage to do all that? How did you tap into that level of tenacity and resilience?
Yeah, I think for me, going through life, not really having kind of a stable, steady experience through my childhood, I got to a point where I had to, testify against my stepfather in a trial. And he ultimately, even though there were multiple victims, he walked away a free man. And the day after, I thought, you know what? This isn't working. I need to do something profound, and I need to really pick up and leave a place that was, reminded me every day that it's hard to move forward. And I needed a new view, a new outlook on life. So yeah, I ended up packing up. I had a really junky car, and I packed everything I owned into it, and I had $63. And I moved to North Carolina. I had met my biological grandfather, who I had never known. And turns out he was a real estate investor. And he said, look, I'm not going to give you any money, but I'll teach you what I know. So I took the chance, and I thought, what I have now is not good. And what's in North Carolina could potentially be wonderful, right?
Yeah.
Worth the risk.
And I love that he was going to teach you something that nobody could take away from you. Money can be a Band-Aid, but when someone actually teaches you a skill and something that you can go and soar with and something that you can use for the rest of your life, that is invaluable. And so I love that your biological grandfather was there for you, but more importantly, I love that you reached out for help.
Mhm.
Folks, this level of independence we see all the time, this quote, self-made person, it's never self-made. You found the courage to change the view. And wow, there's nothing more profound than that, Alyse. And I applaud you and for taking that. And I encourage anybody who really needs to make that change in your life where you are so stuck and you know you're never going to get unstuck in that environment. Boom, when you do something so dramatic and drastic, like uprooting yourself like you did, Alyse, that's really profound. And I'm sure that it started to teach you some new skills that you didn't even know you had, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, first of all, betting on myself, right? And going into that fear of the unknown. Um, I think oftentimes, at least in my life, when you go through kind of traumatic experiences, you get so doubtful of your ability to move forward, and you really beat yourself down. And me packing up everything I owned and driving down to North Carolina was me deciding, no, I'm going to believe in myself and not listen to all these um, doubts that I had. And it really did. You're right, Andy. It teaches you so many things, not just about life, but about yourself and what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses. So in that time, I really learned who I was.
And that is so valuable, Alyse, because when hard decisions are going to come by again, you're going to say, wow, I did a really hard thing. I
Mhm.
guess I can do hard things. And
Yes,
so I'll figure this out, right?
yes, absolutely. I think being able to show yourself that I I continued on when the road seemed uncertain. And just looking back now, it is one of those things, especially in business, and that even when the road feels uncertain, we keep going because fear is not part of who we are.
Okay, stitch that on a pillow, folks. Even when the road is hard, we keep going.
Mm.
See that on the pillow, on the couch, on the chair. Seriously, that's so important to remember because the mythology that life is easy breezy. I mean, no, you want to, of course, capture those moments where like, oh, everything's stable for a minute. Yay. Right. But the reality is life is hard. And, we're looking for pockets of joy. We're certainly looking to do things that help lift us up and help lift others up like you did. So as you dove into real estate, and I love real estate. There's something just so tangible about real estate. You've got occupancy rates or vacancy rates. You've got return on investment if you're doing properties like that, or what something has to sell at. I mean, it's just such a great tangible way of business. What did you learn over those few years that you felt started to prepare you even more to be a founder?
Well, I learned in working with so many couples and clients that the human thread that really connects us all is we want to be understood, right? And I think for me, I excelled at real estate because I understood that truth that all of us are just looking to connect and be understood. And I also learned that because of my upbringing and my experiences, it really shaped me to be a strategic mind where I was very resourceful because I had to be. And in business, I think that's a benefit for everyone to learn how to be resourceful and learn that you can make it happen even if you don't have anything. It
Right.
can happen.
It can. And at least just, a little sidebar from my own personal experience. My first husband was very scary. I didn't know nothing from nothing. I was 20 when I married him. What did I know? And I didn't have a lot of family around me to say, whoa, get out of that one. And so at a certain point, I realized I was in danger. My life was in danger. And I had a friend pick me up at the bottom of the hill. I left with my clothes on my back. And you're absolutely right. As I think back, there was a level of strategy, right? That, okay, I've got to do this, then I've got to do that, and I've got to make this happen. And then your brain starts looking, right, for solutions to problems. So you've got a problem, but you're like, okay, there's a solution here. And then once you start proving yourself right, the evidence is there. I solved that problem, and that was a big, hairy problem. Then you can see how you can use it again and again, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so interesting because I believe that there are so many people that have experienced maybe not my exact life, right? The
Mm-hmm.
exact circumstances, but there's so much commonality in our experiences and the way in which humans feel going through certain traumas or certain experiences. And so it's very cool to look at others, just like you shared in this story, that you had this moment of, yeah, you know what? That was really strategic. And life made me that way,
Well,
right?
and it reframes the horrific situation. So instead of being holding on to the victim part of it all, right, which is just can be triggering, paralyzing, all of that, you can say, reframing it,
Yes.
the strategy that was involved.
Mhm.
Oh, I love that. I love that. Okay, so you grabbed all this great knowledge,
Mhm.
and by the time you were 23, you were rocking it, and it was feeling lovely. What steps, what moments happened that started to lead you to launching Redefined Advisors? What compelled you? What happened?
Well, it's interesting that you say that because what I've learned is I don't like people telling me that I can't do something. And then oftentimes when someone makes me feel like that or says that to me, then it motivates me even more. So I had several jobs. I was in banking, and then worked for another guy raising funds. And it just was felt very boxed in, if that makes sense. Like I didn't
Yeah,
have control of the wheel. And I would see, again, with that strategic mind, I would see certain decisions that people were making and thinking, like, that is not the right one.
right.
That's not the right one. Let me make the decision. But at the end of the day, right, those aren't my businesses.
No,
So,
you're on payroll.
exactly. So for me, I just kept realizing that I had the ability to make decisions in a strategic way and look at things almost from a bird's eye view, where sometimes the people that I was surrounded by in my other employment, they didn't look at it like that. And so it would frustrate me being in like corporate roles or, salaried positions where you're not meant to be a disruptor. They don't like disruptors. And I was
Uh,
always that person.
yeah, which is why I've been unemployable since 92.
Yes.
I've been, I fell off the wagon twice, Alyse. Once, I fired myself, and then the next time I got fired, but pretty much fist bump right at you on that one. And so, but you've been in real estate and banking. You've learned all these wonderful skill sets and that are so important in building up for when you're ready to be the captain of your own universe, right? And so why did you choose this lane? This is a very specific lane. And so tell us a story about why why helping education and especially those schools that aren't the public schools that are struggling and trying to get ahead.
Yeah, that's a great question. So as a young child, I was really struggling in public school. I was bullied pretty bad. And I was just falling through the cracks. I always say that I was that why student, right? So when a teacher would tell me to do something, my first response was, why? And it wasn't necessarily to be defiant or have a bad attitude, but what I've learned is that I was very purpose driven. But anyway, so I struggled at public school and we were looking for other options in my education. But let's be honest, tuition is really expensive and it wasn't in the realm of possibility for my family. So I ended up receiving what's called an Educational Improvement Tax Credit Program scholarship in Pennsylvania that covered my tuition to go to a private school. And
Nice.
it was wonderful to kind of be exposed for the first time to a different way of life. And that is why I chose Redefine Advisors in this lane, is because that scholarship changed my life. And there wasn't a company really out there doing it on such a huge scale of raising these funds through this program. And I realized there isn't anyone doing this on that scale, but then there's also no one doing it that has lived it.
Right.
And
That's a really good point. I mean, they had a good heart and what they wanted to do, but good point.
And I knew that if people could see what that scholarship meant for me and how it changed my life, and if I didn't have that opportunity given to me, then there are a million statistics that show I would be somewhere completely different than where I am today. So I thought to myself, I think that I could get people on board more and make a really big impact.
So talk about the mission and the vision. When we start our businesses, we have an idea of what we want. And of course, we're going to create our minimum viable product and all of that. But given yours is very purpose-driven and very impactful, talk about the mission. And folks, mission and vision are two completely different things. Vision is how you see it. Mission is the result. I think, wait a minute, did I get that backwards? Vision is the end result that you want. Mission is what you're working on to get to that end result. Okay.
Yeah. So that's a good question too. So for us, when I started, I think I talked to you about this, Ande, is I wasn't sure whether to do a nonprofit or a for-profit business, right? Because my mission was solely to give as many students the opportunity that I had. That was it. That was all I was worried about, is to try to amplify my life and make it purposeful for other people through raising money.
Yeah.
But ultimately, there's a really great TED Talk by Dan Pallotta that talks about the way that we think of charity is dead wrong. Wonderful, because he really talks about how nonprofits are kind of kneecaps in the way that you got to spend as little as possible, right, for people to donate to you. But sometimes spending as little as possible doesn't get better results. A lot of times it doesn't get better results. So I thought to myself, look, I'm going to create a for-profit business so that I'm not handicapped with the nonprofit structure, but have the nonprofit mindset of, look, we are doing as much good as possible. And our mission, again, is to change lives for students that were like me, that struggled, that may have been born in, poverty, that may not have love at home when they really need it. And they could get another education that gives them that.
Well, and look at all the learning differences. I'm a mom with two kids. Both my young men today had learning differences. And, a lot of kids aren't the cookie cutters anymore, right? And if you have a neurodiverse child, they're smart, they're very capable, but they're never going to succeed in our public school system. And so what does that family do, right? If they can't get those landmark schools, is what we call them around in the Northeast, those kind of specific educations that are experiential. Mm-hmm. And helping children. So I love this idea. So I'm going to, find that TED Talk, folks, by Dan. How do you Paula?
Pallotta.
Pallotta. I'm going to find that and put it in the comments, because this is a big discussion in startup world, right? First of all, when you launch a nonprofit, my gosh, it takes like almost 6 months to get your tax ID number. And then you have to have a board that you've got to, did I say battle with? That's what it would feel like to me. I wouldn't be right. Someone who wants to be in control and of the structure and everything. You don't have time to wait for the board to approve everything you're doing and get those people on board and find their time to help you and blah, 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 blah. You can have a social impact business, right, Alyse, and be for profit. And I bet this is what Dan's going to be talking about, how you can take that profit and really change the world, right?
Yes, that's exactly what it's about. Is we don't keep the profit like really for ourselves, right? Like our whole goal is to reinvest that profit into making a bigger impact, right? Yeah. So every dollar that we get in, we're taking that and we're doing the best that we can to amplify the giving for these students.
So talk about the early days, because, other founders who tune into the show, right? They might be wannabe founders. They're thinking about launching a business. Talk about that early time when you're going, okay, so I figured this out. I'm going to be for profit.
Mhm.
I got to get myself LLC'd.
Mhm.
Then what did you do? How did you start to, quote, put out your shingle and prove that the world wanted what you were offering?
Yeah, that's a really good question too. So I relied on, and I would encourage anyone that's interested in starting a business that may not have the funds or the safety net in order to do that. Is there are small business development centers in so many parts of the United States, and a lot of their services are free.
That's
Right.
right.
I I took all the free help that I could get because I've learned that I obviously don't know everything. And some of the scariest things are you don't know what you don't know.
We
So,
say that often here at the Start of Life Live show.
and those
Oh
are the scariest things out there for, I think, a founder is those things that you don't know that you don't know, because it can be really detrimental. So I use the Small Business Development Center to really craft like my business plan. And I had experience in the EITC program in the previous company that I was working for. And the high school that gave me the EITC scholarship almost 20 years ago was the first school to sign my new company. And it was just like the most beautiful thing.
Full circle.
Full circle.
I love
Yeah. And
that.
they made it happen for me. And because of them, here we are, almost $10 million that we've raised in 1 year for students. And it would not have happened if it wasn't for them taking a shot on my business.
I love that. I love that. And and I love the where you said I did everything I could. I got everything I could for free.
Mhm.
Folks, and here we call it the small business. I always thought it was like small development for small business. You can find it. Your state has funds.
Mhm.
Most states have funds, I should say, for small businesses because you help the economy. So the
Mhm.
sooner they get you up and running, you're going to be employing and circulating money in the economy and paying taxes and all that good stuff. So this is an important investment for them. And it can be, $2,000, $5,000. That can help a founder crawl through some tough times and get to the next level, right, Alyse?
100%. And they even have certain things like where I am, like Penn State has a free law clinic for startup businesses. So we got all of our contracts written absolutely free. And we just, again, rely, it takes a little bit longer, right? You're not getting the for payment kind of service, but at the end of the day, I didn't have to put out $10,000 for an attorney to write my contracts because
Right.
we went through the law clinic. So, yes.
And the law clinic, too, the beauty of that is they have their professors. So if they're struggling with an operating agreement or any of the other documents that you need to protect your business, please stay off LegalZoom, everybody. Get those attorneys. They have the professors that are going to help them make sure and eyeball it before it goes back to you. So it may take a little longer. That's okay. There's no rush, everyone, with your business. I will put it out there, folks. If you don't mind, at least I just take a second to remind folks that the really top tier law firms, they have a sweet setup for startup founders. So if you know that your business is going to need venture funding, I would reach out. You're not going to have to put any money up front. These top tier, those are the big, the Wilson Sonsini, Foley Lauder type of law firms, and get them on your on your one sheet and in your pitch deck as soon as possible, because they do is they give you a line of credit basically, and they take like maybe 0.5% in equity until you close on your first Series A, and then that's where they're going to capture their bajillion dollars an hour fee back. And so there's nothing out of pocket. So that's just another way to go, because a lot of founders don't know about that. Or I love the fact that we're all close to a law firm somewhere in our state. Sorry, a law school where we can go and get free advice. So you're nailing it for everybody today, Alyse. I have to tell you, with your founder journey nuggets. And so I love that you told the story about the first call happened to be where you worked with students before 20 years ago and all of that. So it was full circle. So that was a great way to prove your MVP. But then what happened? I mean, because if you were raising funds, it's great to be able to deploy those funds and have that organization ready to glow. Tell us a little bit about what the other side was like. Hey, I have this great purpose and vision here and mission. Come give me your money.
Yeah. So for us, I very quickly realized that I had connections that I could use, right? I had connections. I might not have had like the big fancy marketing team or anything like that, but I did have connections. So I called up a local diocese that I had met with the superintendent of that diocese, and they oversee 16 schools. And I knew that I could raise them money. Like I knew it in my heart that I could raise them money. And I just sent an email to her and I said, "Hey, you may not remember me, but I have this really wonderful idea and I'd love to like take you out to lunch and discuss it with you." And she immediately called me and said, "Of course I remember you. And I would love to have lunch with you." And we went, and I told her my idea, and she had seen what I was raising, the type of money that I was raising in the previous company. So I think she felt comfortable knowing that, like, I wasn't just here to say, like, pay me and I'll raise you money and then not raise you anything. So I wasn't a newbie, I guess, at fundraising. And I left that meeting with, she said, "Look, I think I can get you 10 of our schools."
Wow.
And it was the most beautiful thing, honestly, Ande, because it had been several months of just like one school paying me, right? And it was not enough to like live on. And I just had a baby too, like my third child.
Oh
So
my gosh.
we had like medical bills and all
Oh,
these things. And it was really getting down to the wire. Like, this needs to take off, or like I need to tuck my tail and like go do something else,
put it
right?
on pause and go get some
Yes,
cash in the door.
yes. And so yeah, she came through.
And so
And
when they pay you, like how does that work? Like how's that business model work for you? Like
sure. So
share the money thread.
sure. So we decided to do something differently. I wanted to just charge a flat fee, the
Yeah.
minimum flat fee that I could make it. If I said, okay, if I got X fee for 10 schools, is that enough to still live on and have a decent life and still be able to do what I love? So that's how I came up with the flat fee. And so they pay us a flat fee, monthly fee, regardless of how much we raise them. So there are certain schools that we just raised, one school in our state, $708,000, right? That's huge. I mean,
That's like almost a million,
yes.
three
And
quarters of $1 million.
yes, and they still pay us the same flat rate, and it's low. Like, it's very, very low, but for us, again, it's that nonprofit mindset of,
Yeah.
it's not give me, give me, give me. It's I guess our mission, again, also not only helping students but helping schools. And if we're feeing them into the ground and upcharging all of these things, then that takes money out of resources for their teachers, benefits packages for their teachers, and all of those things that they desperately need. So for us, we will probably continue forever to have a flat fee. And then you're not chasing, Ande. One of the things I didn't want to have happen in like a fundraising um, career is, I didn't want to have to be responsible of seeing how much we raised, calculating a commission, then going back, and it just did not seem fun for me.
No, you set up your business in a way that worked for you. Folks, you know I'm having an Andelicious moment over this. You don't have to go by anyone else's rules for how you do business. As long as you're profitable and sustainable, which I'm sure that flat fee is for you, you made it clear, this is what I need to cover my end,
Mhm.
this household, and
Mhm.
still feel good about what I'm doing while having an impact, then that is absolutely
Mhm.
fine. Do not let anybody tell you to do anything differently, because you need to get up every day and feel good about what you're doing. I love that something fierce, Alyse. And it's palate cleansing for me, because I was at Harvard Business School's student run venture capital and private equity event on Saturday, and bless their hearts, they were all about building wealth with no impact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Except their shareholder impact and the
Mhm.
money in their account.
Yeah.
Now, with all due respect, they may go off and do something with those funds, but that was never the conversation.
Mhm.
And so I'm proud of you that that's how you set it up. And I honor you and I believe you when you tell me this is how it's going to be. And I want other founders to really take this in right now on how you want to do business. Don't let anybody shame you into saying, what? You're leaving so much money on the table. And meet my mission, right, Alyse?
Yes, I hear that. It's such a good point. I hear that all the time. I hear that all the time. Like, oh, you could be charging so much. Are you going to up your fee next year? No, we're making a beautiful life. And I can lay my head down at night and sleep soundly.
Yeah.
Right. And I know that we're making such a big difference. So for me, it is interesting that you say that because, yeah, I hear that all the time. Like your services, you could charge a lot more and there's more money out there. But more money does not bring more happiness. And
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
doesn't.
You're singing my song. Everybody knows me intimately, personally, knows that with this show, at my age, do I want to be out there hustling? I just hustled for 40 straight years. Okay. I know how to hustle and do all the goods. I just want to amplify wonderful founders like you, have an impact, share Andelicious nuggets in the world. Sponsors, come on board if you'd like. I'd love it. Certainly it would help me, hire more people to get the word out. But at the end of the day, no one can shame me either. So again, another fist bump here on the Start Live show between Alyse and Ande.
Yes. It is
I
really cool to see businesses. And I think more will continue to emerge. And that's what I'm hoping that, this platform that I have is to encourage more business owners to start mission focused. Start
yes.
mission focused first. And because again, money was never part of my equation. It genuinely just did not cross my mind. It was just mission, mission, mission first. And money comes from that, right? It will
Oh
come.
my, oh my gosh. And all the lives that are getting lifted up, the ripple effect, you cannot begin to quantify that or measure it.
That's true.
Because people are going to get a scholarship to that school and get an education that's in alignment with who they are and what they need. And then they're going to take that and pay it forward in some way.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I don't want anybody to think that that's a poverty mentality either. Again, with all this manifestation and intention and wealth building, your generational wealth is being changed on so many levels, right? You've got a home that you're able to raise 3 beautiful children and make an impact on the world and not be running around and figuring and calculating and making your life harder. And this is such a good conversation, Alyse.
Thank you. Yeah, it's been nice I love that you view so much and we have the same views on so many things. And again, it goes back to we are all so connected in our experiences and it's nice to join in with other founders to see that, yeah, it's true.
Mission driven is great. Profitable, sustainable is also great. And we've seen many heavily VC backed businesses just go out of business. And imagine if that money had been put towards something impactful. Just saying.
Yeah.
All right. Let's talk about triumph over tragedy. This is a scholarship that you set up.
Mm-hmm.
Talk about why you wanted to set up a scholarship award and how do you fund this award? How does it all work? And who is it for?
Sure. So, yeah, we created it was always a dream of mine to create a Triumph Over Tragedy Scholarship Award. Again, when I think about my life, I was fortunate enough to have someone give me a hand up. And had they not, I wouldn't be here today. So I wanted to make sure in growing my business that I always stayed true to that core desire for me. And that's the legacy that I want to leave behind. So we created the Triumph Over Tragedy Scholarship Award, and it's for any high school student that may have really had a rough time, right? That remained resilient in the face of adversity and is committed to moving forward with positivity. So we fund it through just our business profit. So we gave about $30,000 away last year, which was phenomenal. And the stories that come in from these students, I have to take like a mental health day the day after, because they are filled with such sorrow, but so much resiliency and so much hope. It's beautiful to kind of read through it and see like the lives that we're having a hand in. But we always tell people, go onto our website, and if you are a student or have a student that really struggles, could use some extra money, not just for college, by the way, because I'm not a person that thinks everyone needs to go to college.
Oh no, you can get your skills in many different ways, folks. The
Yeah.
college degree is not as important for your success in life. Just saying.
Yep, I 100% agree. So it's not just college scholarships that we give. It is, if you want to go be a welder, or you want to go to cosmetology school, any of those dreams that you may have that seem unattainable because you were born in generational poverty and don't have the keys to those finances, let us help you. And go online and apply. And it's just a 500-word essay. They submit it. And then at the end of the year, we take X amount of our profits and we send them over to these students.
This is wonderful. Really. This is so beautiful. My clappers are a little quiet today, folks. Oh, I'm just feeling this so deeply. Thank you. Thank you for having such a mission-driven, purpose-driven business that is really helping students around the world. So as you measure success, and I always say this, measuring success, I know that you're measuring it for you, which is great, but many folks use someone else's tape when they're measuring their success. What does that look like for you today? But also, if you're in the horizon down the road, what are you seeing as would be even more success for you?
That's such a good question. I have obviously been through many ups and downs in my childhood. Things that thankfully grown adults never had to experience. And as I became successful in my business, I used to always shy away from sharing my story because I was shamed and embarrassed of where I came from, and that my life started at a young age in a domestic abuse shelter, in fear that our biological father could, want to end our lives. Like, that was always embarrassing for me. And for me, success is now stepping into really who I am and showing other students and kids that may not be able to find the light right now, for them to hear my story and not just see me up on some pedestal, on some podcast, some Live with Ande Lyons show, and think that I was just, lucky and got into the door and my life's always been successful. I want them so much to see like the struggle behind it, so that it gives them hope. So currently I am in the process of writing a memoir, because I've always, for years and years, have listened to my story be broadcast through courtroom after courtroom, and I've never been the one to tell my own story.
Right.
So
set the record straight.
Yes, exactly.
From your point of view.
Exactly. So I'm really excited to hopefully become more of a voice for children that may have, been through abuse or have really struggled, so that they can look up and see, if she made it, if I made it, they can too,
Alyse, this is like, representation is so important because of those shame triggers, those things that just go, well, I can't. And you've tapped into the mission for this show, which is to amplify voices like yours, so we can see that representation and go, wow, Alyse did it. Mm-hmm. And it was not easy. And now this memoir is going to be phenomenal, because people are going to go, woo. And that's why I always share Arlen Hamilton right here behind me. Lived in shelters off and on in her childhood, high school degree, was managing, was a tour manager for hip hop groups and rap groups, and decided she wanted to become a venture capitalist. She's 6 feet tall, she's Black, and she's lesbian. I mean, there's just no room in the VC world for that, right? Well, when she closed on her first fund, which was multi-millions of dollars, she was sleeping at the airport and getting her Wi-Fi from coffee shops or hotels. Okay. You got through yours. You are showing people that you can crawl through that. These are such important stories. So thank you for sharing, and thank you for being willing to be transparent with your memoir and also on the show like this. It's amazing. Now, you hadn't been an entrepreneur, even though you knew you needed to be the captain of your own universe and ship. How has this journey served you? Like, what have you really noticed that's changed about you as you are no longer an employee, but an entrepreneur or business owner? And how have you seen how it's served you both personally and professionally?
I think number one, it makes me a better mom. And you might make me cry, but I think growing up, I had a mom that was so incredibly smart. I mean, smart. But the world really did not do her any favors. And she would talk so philosophically about big issues when we were kids to us, right? Asking us, what do you think about this in the world? And really start prompting us to dream big and think big. But oftentimes, unfortunately, because of situation like the circumstances she was in, her words didn't match up to her actions because she was stuck. She had 4 kids, right?
Yeah.
For me, it was really important for me for my words to match my actions, because I want my kids to see that their mom made it through the hardest of times.
Yeah.
But still that fierce love of a mom, right? So I think number one, it's made me a better mom because I have that flexibility to be with my kids, and I'm not, working at a bank from 7 in the morning till 6 at night and seeing them for 1 hour,
Yeah.
right?
No.
Like that. And so it makes me a better mom. But the one thing I think that it has showed me is, I have this almost, I hate to say it, but like a rage inside of me that fuels so much of this motivation, right? Like when you have gone through injustice, it lights something inside your soul that it cannot be put out.
Right.
It cannot be extinguished. And I think that's been really cool to come into my own and realize who I am as a woman, as a mom, as a wife, and as me, to realize, you know what? Yeah, I have something inside me that no one's going to put out. And
That's
I
right.
continue on because I know that what I'm doing, I'm in it for the right reasons. And so I'm not going to be swayed anymore from someone saying, "Oh, you could make more money," or "You should do this." Or no, it's up to me, and I know that I'm on the right path with the right vision to make a difference.
Outstanding. Seriously. And you're right. When that injustice happens, that is a rage that lives inside you.
Mhm.
And you will not stop until that is solved or something comes from that
Mhm.
rage, something positive comes from that rage. And I want to tell you, as a mom, who had 4 businesses while she was raising her kids, that they see how to manage adversity. And so often moms get the memo, I've got to protect my kids. They can't have any hard times. No, no, no. You need to teach your children that they too can solve problems, that they can get through difficult times and do hard things. And so as they watch you go, oh my gosh, how am I going to do this or figure that out? And it's tough, and you don't hide it from them. And then you say, okay, show me how you're going to be solving that problem.
Mhm.
Let me know if I can help, but tell me more how you're going to do that. It gives them such strength, such courage to stand on their own 2 feet. First of all, you're representing, right? And I can say with young men now, in their 20s, they show us all the time how they solve problems. And so we know they learned that from watching their parents solve hairy problems. So thank you for being such a great mom. Thank you for founding this wonderful business, Alyse, RedefinED Advisors. Folks, I'll have all the links in the show notes so you can hop on LinkedIn and connect with Alyse and go to their website and learn more. What last thoughts would you like to share with everyone before I wrap up the show?
I think the most important thing for any founder or startup is, I'll tell you a quick little story. So when I was in 12th grade, I had a teacher that told me I really wouldn't amount to much, right? And laughed at me whenever I told her what I wanted to do with my life, right? And had I listened to her, I probably wouldn't have amounted to much, right? So I think keeping that attitude of do not for 1 minute, for 1 second, allow someone else to dictate how you look and think of yourself. It is so important to know who you are and believe that, and don't let someone who is sitting in the stands dictate what you will do while you're fighting in the arena, because their criticism does not matter if they're just waiting outside to critique you. So I think that is one of the lessons I wish all founders knew.
Absolutely. And critique they will, folks. People can be judging everything about you. Why'd you do that? Thank you for that excellent advice. There's a gentleman on Twitter who has a wonderful business, and he decided he wanted to create a Twitter without hate. And I was laughing because he launched the business and someone said, he's been at that for 1 week and look at all the problems he's having. I would never invest. I'll never use this site. I would, and I'm like, OMG, get, you hop in the rink and figure out how to have a Twitter part 2 only without hate.
Absolutely. Yeah. There will always be someone that will do it differently than you. Someone that will always want to tell you that you're doing it wrong. But if you are in it for the right reasons and you have thought about it and you've created a plan, don't listen to them.
Right. Hey, Brooke, thanks for being in the live stream. It's so good to see you. And she's saying, wonderful show. I agree. Wasn't that advice amazing? One nugget after another today from Alyse Maslonik. Thank you so much for joining me today, Alyse. It's been such a pleasure getting to know you and learning about your business and taking in all your wisdom and advice that you have for founders based on your lived experience. I'm so excited for everything you have going forward in your life, and I can't wait to see how it all unfolds next. Please stay in touch with us and let us know your next milestones and that you've reached them, okay?
Absolutely. Thank you so much.
Okay. Really, I'm just going to wrap up the show. I'm going to pop you in the green room. Thank you so much, Alyse. Wow, folks, I just got to tell you, as I said, it was a palate cleanser. Alyse is just so inspirational and aspirational, encouraging us to just really step fully into who we want to be and how we want to bring our gifts to the world based on our own parameters and our own measurements, and not letting others tell us who we need to be. Whew. Loved every minute of it. Okay, so here's who's coming on next on the show. And we're going to be chatting with Allegra Stenen. It's going to be Friday, February 10th at 12 p.m. ET. And she's the co-founder of New Majority Capital. And it's an impact investing firm that addresses the racial and gender wealth gaps in the U.S. by providing training and capital for BIPOC and women entrepreneurs to buy and scale existing small businesses. So, Alyse had a great idea. I've had 4 great ideas, but you don't necessarily have to have a great idea to be a great business owner. You can buy an existing business that's already established a customer base, right? And, and take it to the next level so you can still bring all of your deliciousness to the experience. And I love that Allegra is raising a fund to help folks do that. So be sure to tune in on Friday, February 10th at 12 p.m. And how do you know whenever I launch and put out a new show? You join the Startup Life Live meetup group right there. All the links are in the show notes. I'm so grateful you carved out time to up your founder game, because as you do better, your business does better. Wishing you a delicious day everywhere you glow. Until next time, mwahs from Boston. I'm cheering wildly for you. Cheers.